Hello and welcome to Toffee TV. I'm here with none other than Everton Legend Kevin Sheedy. Kevin, first of all, thank you very much for your time.
No problem, my pleasure, Paul.
Obviously you came from the old enemy. How did your move come about and how did your kind of career at Liverpool fizzle out?
Well, I signed for Liverpool. They just won the European Cup. I went with a friend just as a neutral supporter to Wembley, saw Kenny Dalglish score the winning goal, and 2 weeks later I get a phone call from my Hereford chairman, Peter Hill, to say they'd accepted a £100,000 bid off Liverpool and to travel up to Liverpool to sign. There was no agents in that day, no advisors. I just travelled up with my mum and dad. Signed a 4-year deal. I knew it was going to be really tough because I'd seen the best midfield in Europe: Ray Kennedy, Jimmy Case, Graham Souness, Terry McDermott. So I knew it was going to be a tough to break into. But I was confident in my ability. But to cut my time at Liverpool, I was there 4 seasons. Made my debut, but never really pushed and didn't get the opportunity for a regular place. So I was in digs in Elsie Road, which is just round the corner from Anfield and not far from Goodison Park. Midweek I used to go and watch Everton play. Saw Graham Sharp make his debut, Adrian Heath, Kevin Ratcliffe, and I could see that Howard Kendall was putting together a young side. So when my contract ran out at Liverpool, I was at home on a Friday. It was the day before my last game for Liverpool Reserves against Preston, and I got a phone call, and it was Colin Wood, who was a newspaper writer for the Daily Mail, and he said, would you be interested in signing for Everton? I said, of course I would. He said, we'll put the phone down and Howard Kendall will ring you. And it was like, that's what they called tapping in the old days, sort of thing. I thought it was a prank off one of my teammates and all that, because they knew I was going to move. But anyway, the phone went, and after I realised it was Howard Kendall, and he said, would you be interested in signing for Everton? I said, of course. And he said, well, I'm going to come and watch you tomorrow playing for Liverpool Reserves against Preston. So anyway, I must have done well, because a couple of days later I got a phone call to say to go and sign for Everton. So it was a great move for me. I knew the club, I knew the supporters. The only thing was I had to start really well, because in my mind I was thinking, well, the Everton supporters are going to be thinking, if he's not good enough for Liverpool, why should he be good enough for us? So it put a lot of pressure on me to start with, but I had a real good pre-season. Played in all the games and then made my debut. We played Watford away. They just got promoted into the first division, as it was. We got beat 2-0, but we played okay. But Howard said our season starts next week, and I scored against Tottenham. Played well. We beat them, and I think the fans saw enough in my early performances to realise that I was a good player, and I never had any stickers, as if I wasn't good enough for Liverpool. So I was fortunate to be able to hit the ground running at Goodison, and had some great times.
Yeah, looking at you go through the team, you had Neville Southall, Gary Stevens, Kevin Ratcliffe, Peter Reid, Graham Sharp, and so on. How good was that team? Obviously, we done a separate video there with Ireland, and we were talking about how good that Irish team was as well. But in terms of that Everton team, again, I'd say you're a lucky man in terms of internationally and domestically in terms of the players that you played with.
Very, very fortunate. I always say that. Fortunate to be in the right era for Ireland and the right era for Everton. Once our side clicked, it was 4-4-2 with the best goalkeeper in the world, Neville Southall. We all knew each other's jobs. It was like a real good Trevor Stephen on the right, myself on the left. Reedy and Brace. There was Sharpie. At that time, Adrian Heath was the striker, and he was my favourite player. I had a real understanding with him where he wanted the ball, where he wanted played, and we had great pace in the defence. Kevin Ratcliffe was the quickest defender, so we could play a high line. Any balls played over the top, Kevin could sweep, and then if anybody did get past the defenders, they had to be Big Nev sort of thing, and it had to be right in the top corner or the bottom corner. Because Nev used to say to the defenders, if they're shooting from 25 yards, don't get in the way, don't block it. He said, because the deflection will beat me. He said, I'll save it if you don't block it, sort of thing. And he was that confident. So we just had a great balance, sort of thing. So, and everyone Same with the Irish. We had a great camaraderie both on the pitch and off the pitch, and I think that, not saying that was the key to it, but certainly it helps. And when you look back and you've won things, that you have the same camaraderie.
Yeah, because you're kind of looking at the year in which you played. Since I followed Everton, we've won an FA Cup. I was 4 years old, so I don't really remember that. My dad would have been at it. Obviously, you know him. But talk us through the '84 season, and then it was the FA Cup, wasn't it, that we won?
Yeah, it was. We were just sort of, there was a bit of pressure on Howard Kendall. We weren't getting the results. Everyone talks about the back pass by Kevin Brock against Oxford, which Adrian Heath intercepted and scored. But the round before that, we played Newport County away. We were getting beat 1-0. John Aldridge scored, and I hit a 30-yard bobbler in the corner to get us an equaliser. We beat Newport in the replay. Then we played Oxford. We had the home gates against Coventry. There was about 8,000, so it was a real low ebb sort of thing. But Howard Kendall had such a great rapport with the press that they sort of didn't give him stick. They bought him a little bit of time.
Was it kind of like Mourinho in his early days at Chelsea?
Yeah, probably, yeah. But you could tell in training we had good players, and the way the players trained, the quality that we had. You knew it was there, but it was just a case of transferring it out onto the pitch. And certainly the games, started. We started to get better, then confidence grew, and obviously the cup run, getting through to the Milk Cup final. We were in the quarter final of the FA Cup. So the signs were there then. And obviously we got beat in the Milk Cup final, but going on to win the FA Cup. And I think like with Ireland and the Euros, where you can compete against the top teams, it gives you so much confidence. But I think to actually win the FA Cup was the starting point for our success. Obviously gets us into the Cup Winners' Cup. And then you go on to the next season, and everyone comes back full of buzzing. Pre-season went really well, and then the game started, and we did not get off to a great start. I think we lost the first 2 games, and then we started to win a couple. But I think the defining moment was we played Man United at Goodison, and they were a good team. Kevin Moran was right back that day. And we beat them 5-0. We played them off the park. It could have been more. And as I say, they had a good team, but we totally destroyed them from both sides, down the middle. And we come off after that performance. I scored 2 goals, one with my head from about 18 yards, which was unheard of sort of thing. But it was Kevin Moran, as the cross came in, I was going to head it, and he just head-butted the back of my head, and that rocketed into the top corner. So
we'll take that.
But it was just the actual the quality of the performance. So then I think probably looking back, that's one of the best team performances throughout my career that I've been involved in. And I think it gave everyone again that massive boost. The crowd, were right behind us, sort of thing. Goodison Park was a real fortress in those days, and we kept that momentum going. Obviously, going on to win the league, the Cup Winners' Cup, and then the getting beat in the final. So we came close to a magical treble.
Yeah, well, for yourself now, I was reading up on it. You missed out on the actual celebrations of the Cup Winners' Cup for a drugs test, was it? It
was like a urine sample. We'd sort of coming off the pitch sort of thing, had all the photos done and all that, just heading back to the dressing room, and myself and Gary Stevens got called in by the FIFA officials to go in and give urine samples. And it's you can't do it. It's just really hard. It takes about 40-45 minutes. You're drinking as much water as you can. So when we managed to do that, we go back into the dressing room, and everyone's changed, showered. We've missed all the celebrations, missed all the photos that you get after the game, sort of thing. So something that put a little, not tarnished it, whatever, but just put a little, but missed out on the celebrations. But we were back on the bus, on the plane back to, we arrived back early hours Thursday morning, went home, and then the next day we're travelling down to Wembley for the cup final. So looking back, it was a tough week, league game, Cup Winners' Cup final, and then an FA Cup final. So if we'd have had that extra period of time for rest, then at that time we had the Indian sign over Man United. So unfortunately, as I say, we got beaten. Missed out on a great treble.
Yeah, just in terms of then obviously the Heysel incident happening. Just how hard was that for you coming off such a high-profile season?
It was. I think looking back personally, I think that was the start of the demise of our team. If our team wasn't good enough to have won the European Cup, then it wouldn't have been
Ever.
But we had a team that was capable. We'd proven it against Bayern Munich, who'd won the Bundesliga that year. We beat them. We drew out 0-0 away from home. We beat them at Goodison 3-1. So it was there for people to see that we could compete against those types of teams. So that was really it was an opportunity for FIFA to ban all the British teams, because the British teams had a monopoly on the European trophies. So I think that gave FIFA the opportunity to ban all British clubs and leave the door open for the other countries to win the trophy. So Howard Kendall left for Bilbao. Colin took over the manager role. I've seen, Colin was a great coach, but there's a difference between being a coach and a manager. I'd seen it at Blackburn Rovers when I was a youth coach here. Kenny Dalglish had won the Premier League with Blackburn, moved upstairs, and Ray Harford, who was a great coach, took the manager's job, and there is a difference to it, sort of thing. At Everton, obviously the players started to leave. Gary Stevens, Trevor Stevens went to Rangers.
Lineker wouldn't have went as well.
Lineker went. So Lineker went in 80, 85, 86. Yeah. So Pat Nevin came in, Peter Beard came, Tony Cottee came in. So there was like a lot of changes, and the team didn't really gel as the previous team. So it was sad, because we never really probably fulfilled the potential of that team, sort of thing.
Yeah, and did you ever feel like leaving, or was there any offers on the table for you to leave at the time?
I never really, because I was so happy there playing there. I never really. No moves came in for me, and I didn't look to see if there's any teams interested. I just carried on, continued playing, sort of thing. So yeah, no, it was disappointing to see great players go who weren't at the end of their careers. They still had, like Gary Stevens and Trevor Stevens, they were still had a lot of their careers to go. So you're missing out on England's right side, Everton's right side, and it's difficult to replace those two players.
Yeah, and there was such a huge rivalry then between yourselves and Liverpool, because you were battling out at the top as well.
Yeah.
So that obviously didn't help stuff in terms of the Heysel situation, with them being involved in that. But on a more positive note, talk us through that goal at Ipswich.
The free kick.
Two free kicks.
Two free kicks, yeah. So it was. I always used to get to the ball as quickly as I could, to see if there's any opportunity I could gain an advantage. And the wall wasn't quite organised, and I've just bent it into Paul Cooper's top right hand corner. Not surprised that the referee disallowed it, because Paul Cooper wasn't ready, the wall wasn't. But it sort of helped. It gave me an advantage, because when I put the ball down again, the wall was lined, but Paul Cooper knew I could put it in his top right hand corner, so the wall had edged a bit too far to the right. Paul Cooper had taken a stride too far to the right, and I knew if I could get up and down over the wall in the bottom corner, then he'd find it very hard to get to it. And I managed to execute it, just get it up and down quickly with a bit of curve on it, and it was a great feeling. So obviously my career's finished now, but when I meet Evertonians, that's the main goal they ask. They remember, sort of thing. So it was great.
Yeah, and kind of, how did your Everton career kind of fizzle out then?
I think I didn't. Under Howard Kendall, he gave me so much confidence. He had great belief in me, and played me all the time. It was a different relationship with
How good of a manager was he?
He's the best manager I played under. I mean, played with some and the great managers. Jack was a different man manager, but certainly Howard was the best. Because he was one of Everton's best ever players. He knew the game, and he knew how to deal with players in different situations. So he was just you wanted to play for him, and all the players wanted to play for him. So he just got the best out of him.
Yeah, no, you touched on it, I think it might have been in the previous video. Was Kevin Keegan the one who took you to Newcastle, was it?
Yeah.
How did that move come about?
I was away with Ireland, and we were playing Wales, and just leaving the airport hotel, and there was a phone call for me, and it was Terry McDermott, who was the assistant manager at Newcastle. I knew Terry from my playing days at Liverpool, and he said, "Would you like to come to Newcastle?" And I said yes. Because I'd been sort of in and out of the team at Everton, and I wanted to play, and I knew Newcastle was a big club, having played against them and the supporters. So I went over with Ireland, played Wales. We won 2-1. I scored. Flew back the next day and drove up to Newcastle. Spoke with Kevin Keegan and Terry Mack. The easiest deal to do, because I wanted to play, and they told me I'd be in their team. So I moved up. So it was just short of 10 years at Everton, but that happens in football. It's time to move on, and I'm glad I moved to Newcastle. It gave me an extra kick to my career. It prolonged my career. I was playing in front of great supporters. We won the first division that got us promoted into then the Premier League that was starting. So I had fantastic times up there. But again, Keegan was then rebuilding, obviously, for the Premier League, and we had a chat and felt best that it was probably time to move on, sort of thing. So, and then I got the opportunity to sign for Blackpool, which was nearer home. My kids were still, going in school, so they could go back to their old school. So it just made sense to do that, and that's where I finished my playing career. So I'm fortunate to have played for some great clubs.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic career to look back on, and I'm sure you get reminded of it most days anyway, if not every day.
Yeah.
But just in terms of our team at the moment, you've obviously still coached the club. What are your thoughts on, obviously you've coached underage the club, but what's your general thoughts on the direction in which we're going in now, especially since Farhad Mashiri's come into the club, and Marco Silva and Marcel Brands have all been appointed now since the summer just gone?
It's transition after transition. So obviously we had Ronald Koeman came in. I was as surprised as anybody that he was more successful, because he was a top player, but that doesn't mean to say he's going to be a top manager. But he had a real good, done really well at Southampton, brought in some very good players and made them better players. And he came in, bought a lot of good players, but they didn't really perform for Everton.
Yeah, especially the ones that came in last summer.
Yeah, so it was a case of that. The money was spent. The chairman came in, gave the managers the money he wanted, and then obviously results didn't go well. The club felt that they needed to change of direction. Obviously brought Sam Allardyce in, did the job he was brought in to do, to keep the team up. The football style wasn't what the supporters wanted to see. So again, Marco Silva's come in, had a lot of money to spend and spent it. And again, we're still in transition. I went to the game against Southampton. We played really well. I've been impressed with Richarlison.
Yeah, he looks good.
He looks a real good player, and obviously stupidly getting sent off, missing 3 games, and we missed him in those 3 games.
Big time, yeah.
So certainly he looks a really good investment. And some of the other players that have been signed aren't fully fit yet, so they've not really figured. So
I've liked the left back Digna.
Yeah,
he looks good.
Yeah, so I think he's brought some good players, but it's going to take time for those players to gel as a team. And I think the supporters have got to remain patient, and just give the manager. We don't need a change or anything like that. We need this manager to have as much time as needed to show improvement. Because it's not a short-term fix. We've got to build slowly now. The teams at the top, we need to sort of like slowly start catching them, but it's not going to happen overnight. So I think he's a really good manager. I think we've got good players there, I think he's just given time.
But he still has to bring in his own players as well. A lot. If you look at the team that even played yesterday, I think only two of them he brought in.
Yeah.
So until he can get a kind of hold of his actual players, I think then ultimately is when he should be judged on the job he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Yeah. So like as I said, Dina and Richarlison have been great since apart from the sending it off. But then you look at Mina still has to come in there. Gomez still has to come into the midfield, because we look like we are missing kind of a creative spark in the midfield at the moment. I obviously really like Tom Davis. We're just going to need more game time.
Yeah, and I think we've overlooked the fact that we've got one of the best keepers as well, Jordan Pickford.
Oh yes.
I think he's been excellent, and for such a young goalkeeper, he's had loads of experience. He's played in the World Cup. He's played in big games. So I think we need to keep hold of him, because all great teams, all successful teams have got to have an excellent keeper, and I think he's excellent. His distribution, his shot stopping. And he'll get better as well. So I think we've got he was a real good investment.
So I think out of all the signs last season, he was definitely our best, without question.
Yeah.
And just lastly, you were over coaching in Saudi Arabia. Are you finished that now?
Yeah, I finished there. I had a contract there that finished, so I really enjoyed it. It was something completely different. I'd enjoyed my time as the academy coach, but I just felt it was I needed a little bit of direction, something to challenge me, and the opportunity to go there. Different culture, but really looking back, it was something I'm glad I've done. I don't know what the next opportunity, but certainly I wouldn't say no to going abroad again. So I'll just see what the next chapter of my career brings.
Well, we wish you well, whatever you do in your future endeavours. Anyway, thank you again so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. Guys, if you like this video, give the video a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Click the bell for alerts. And thank you very much for watching Toffee TV.